Hey, Andrea, thanks for joining us.
Hi, very happy to join. Thanks for inviting.
So yeah, it's a pleasure. And yeah, we love to know more about your story. So Andrea, you've been in the team for, well, I would say almost a year. And
Yeah,
do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, to introduce yourself a little bit more?
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, as mentioned, very happy to have this chat today. So, I'm an Italian guy and I live in Finland. I spent quite a few years here. Overall, in the past, I've been moderately sportly in a disorganized way, I would say. So I've been running a lot. I've been like doing mostly cardio based workouts and some more like freestyle gym workouts.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a little bit like my background before starting the journey with the team. I've been working on my weight as well. I was not like fully happy with it,
Mhm.
and that was very much probably the first reason to approach you in the first place, right?
Yeah.
To kind of figure out, okay, can I be more systematic on that? Which then, to be honest, kind of if I look at 1 year ago in retrospective, that was the initial reason, but it turned out to be just like something that got adjusted on the way as we grew into the program.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
old are you, Andrea?
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm 32, soon 33, and yeah, I work here white collar job in Finland. I have a
Mm.
8 month old daughter, so I actually had a baby during this program, which has an impact especially on the one metric on sleep.
Yeah, sure.
But it's been like an amazing part of the journey as well.
Yeah, and I love to know more about that for sure. But perhaps we can start like from when you first contacted me. You were saying that you wanted to find a way to kind of normalize your routine and also your progress. So to make sure that you had like a consistent return on the investment. So when you first contacted me, what was your goal? Like your main fitness goal? Yeah, in regards to your fitness and health.
Yeah. So I think you said it very well. It's about normalizing my routine, because also what happened before is that I had trained to run a marathon, and during that training I actually gained weight, and I was like,
Mm.
okay, well, how, like, I'm running so much, how is this happening? Like, what am I doing wrong? Lots of stuff turns out, but still. So when I approached you, like, goal number one was lose weight, and goal number two, like already when we started talking, was like understanding how to make these a little bit more systematic,
Yeah.
and build a routine or a system around it. Because clearly, like, I was spending time working out. Like, now I'm doing 4 times a week. But anyways, before I was doing 3 times a week. So it's like there's not like a massive difference as such, right? But still, like, the returns on the investment from a workout point of view was really not there. And what I was after is understanding a method and a system that will help me to be more systematic and more consistent as I work out.
I like it. I like it. And that's like, I don't know if I told you this story, but in the past, I worked with someone. She was a lady in London, and her goal was to actually run more consistently. And I asked her,
Okay.
okay, how many times a week are you running right now? And she was running 2 times a week, but her goal was to run 5 days a week. And I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we can start running 3 days a week. And she was like, okay, but what's the point in running 5 days, like 3 days a week, if I can't run 5 days a week? And so we have all this tendency of like aiming for the perfect routine. But in fact, what we really want is a strategy, okay, that we like,
Mm-hmm.
that we can sustain, and that also can give us not the certainty, because we can't have like 100% certainty, but like some level of confidence that we are getting some results, so that we are heading towards the right direction. So I think in this process, we have two things. We have to understand what to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And understand also what we want. So you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned earlier that your original goal changed. Like at the beginning, you wanted to, normalize your training, lose some weight, right? And then it changed. But yeah, how did it change? And yeah, how your goal? I'm interested in like how was your goal before you started, and how it changed like in process?
That's a good question. Okay, let's put it this way. I think, like, I think goal number one is the weight, right? And like finding a routine after. So the losing the weight, like once you start to follow the program. So I mean, it's like, working with you is pretty straightforward. Like it's like there is like a set of rules that are like more like guidelines, not really rules. And you just, you stick to it. And then what happens is that if you eat that amount and you work out that amount and you work that amount, you're going to lose the weight.
Yeah.
So like pretty quickly you realize that actually, yeah, you can lose the weight. That is not the biggest thing. As in like you gain confidence that it's going down. And then you start thinking at the same time, it's like, okay, this is going down. What do I do next? Like, what can I do? Because as you start to feel, of course, it doesn't happen overnight. And I mean, like it was quite a few months of deficit, right? That we went through. But as you feel that the calorie deficit works, so that you know that, okay, I know I have to do X amount more months, but I know how to do it, so it's under control. Then there's another thing which kicks in, which is that the more you train, the more you start to see that, okay, actually, this is a fun exercise, and maybe I can do this one better, and maybe I can do something more here. So then, like, you start thinking, may I be able to build on strengths? And the deadlifts, it's been like an amazing kind of journey for me. I think like the first one was what, like, I don't remember what the first one was, like probably 40-50 kilos, right?
That's crazy. That's 1 year ago. I know how much how much stronger you are right now.
Exactly. It's a crazy journey. And at the time, like, you were like, yeah, you probably can do your body weight deadlift. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Sorry. what is this guy talking about? Because like, it's like, no way I'm going to do that. But turns out that's like, then it becomes like warm-up weight of that. So like, it's really like, it's like the first goal of losing weight soon it feels like fairly under control. And then you start to explore, actually, can I do something constructive with my health over time? Can I build, and I think this is important because like, I know that, from your point of view, often you see it from like purely like building the strength, and there is like bodybuilding angle at times and so on. Mm-hmm. But I think it goes like very much also beyond that, which is like the work that I'm doing now is this work that it's going to be very useful in like 30-40 years when I'm old. And hopefully, like, I'm not like too like old to move around, right? Or like in too bad conditions to move around. So like, it's really like about consistently building better health foundations for you as an individual.
That's so cool. And I think, Andrea, you mentioned like so many important things. So I'd like to circle back to them because I know that many people who are listening like will benefit so much from it. So for example, like you mentioned, that and that's a challenge for many of our clients. It's been a challenge for a lot of the people I work with in the past that you get into a program, perhaps it's a coach or a community or like a fat loss program, or maybe you read a fat loss book and you try to lose fat or lose weight, and then you do it. But that kind of ingrain in your mindset the mentality that losing weight, it's always equal success and gaining weight is always failure. So that clearly doesn't work like that because like we can't live our life in a starvation or in a calorie deficit, right? It's not sustainable and it's not necessary. So I find it super interesting, the fact that what started as a fat loss and weight loss goal became actually a health goal. So you started to improve your health. And as you were like making progress, weight was going down, you started asking, I think that you did that very well. You didn't wait until like the weight loss was finished. You started asking, what's next? And that's such a powerful question because you say, okay, things are moving well. This is the right time to decide what's coming after. So I remember like we had a lot of conversation about like what interested you and what you wanted to do. And one of the things that came up a lot of times was that you wanted to get stronger. Do you want to expand a little bit on that part of your goals? Because I find it like you are having fun with it.
Yeah, so I think there is two angles to that on the getting stronger side. So there is one aspect which is health related. It really stuck to me. It was like 2-3 years ago. I was listening to this talk. It was saying that the muscle mass. I mentioned I'm 32, right? So, but it was saying that the muscle mass when you're 40 the amount of muscle mass has like this kind of direct correlation on the quality of life when you're like 80 plus. So it's something like you're actually healthier for a longer time than what you die at some point, right?
Yes.
But like it doesn't go like this, but it goes like this and then it goes down.
Yeah.
So like overall, there is like a health component to strength, which is for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, let's be very honest, there is an ego component. I can lift this, and also it does look good, which is pretty fun.
Yes.
And like like then you kind of you get a kick from it, because like, oh man, I managed to lift this much. I wonder how much I can lift next time. And like, okay, you clearly see your body's changing, and maybe I think like it's difficult to see the change as such, like a day after day. But you see it like when you do exercise at a distance of some time, and then you remember, oh, this is how much I used to do, or actually even this is how that used to feel. Yeah. And now you just do it. It's like completely different, right?
Yeah. And No, sorry. Yeah, you go on.
No, that was it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, your mom probably like looking at you doing deadlift would think, oh my God, you're gonna break your back, right? But she wasn't there when you first did the deadlift, the first day, and how many times you practiced that movement. So it's what seems like super like incredible, and that's a challenge I personally have a lot of times, because like maybe I wanna encourage people to practice more resistance training, or just train with weights, and heavy weights, heavy being heavy for them, right? And people look at me and maybe like I'm doing 140 kilos deadlift and for reps, and they say, oh my God, you are so strong, right? So like people see the end result of strength, or maybe like they see someone doing a pull-up or a muscle up, and they say, oh my God, I want to do it too. But perhaps that person has been doing that for like a few years or like a few months. But also like what I find like super exciting about you is that it's not like you were a deadlift freak already, right? Like 1 year ago, how many times in your life did you do a deadlift?
3 probably.
All right, so we started. Yeah, I remember we started like from 50 kilos. Yeah,
excellent.
But what had to change in your mind to say, okay, Francesco, we're gonna try this at least? So it was not something that you would have done on your own. So I'm curious, because you were very good in that. You were very coachable.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think that's a good question. What changed? And I think it's more the decision to work with you. I think, like, if I remember correctly, because first I followed you on Instagram, and then you sent a message out. Yeah. And I felt like, is this like some sort of automated message that goes out or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm not interested in this now. And then like after a few days, you sent another message like, what is this thing like? And but then like because of that, then I started following. I was like, okay, this actually sounds interesting. And then it was more like, because I think like at first we agreed to work together for 3 months, and it was like, okay, let's just try for 3 months. And I told myself, okay, like in order to know if I like this or not, I need to like really try it, like give it like 100%. Which means that you do the deficit the way you're supposed to do deficit, which is very difficult if you've never done a deficit like that before. And it's not difficult, to be honest. Like on the deficit, the biggest thing is not much that you're hungry, because if you are smart, you don't get hungry depending like what you cook. It's more like, what are you gonna cook? Like doing the math of like what you can eat during the day, and after a few weeks you actually understand. Say, okay, I was at 1,800 calories, right? Yeah. After a few weeks, you understand, actually, 1,800 calories, I can have quite a lot of food with 1,800 calories if I plan the food in a smart way.
Yes.
And my rule of thumb now, what I've learned is that I feel physically happy and full if I eat at least 600 grams of food in a meal. And you can do it very much that like 3 times a week with 3 times a day with 1,800 calories. Like you just need to plan what it's gonna be, right?
Yeah.
So like that was the hard part. There was not much how many calories, but like, okay, what are you actually eating? Because like it takes a little bit of effort at the beginning. Yes. The workouts as such, I think like the ramp up at first was like very smooth. So like I think that worked very well. And I never felt like, it was never like the kind of workouts, especially like at the beginning, where you go home and then you're sore for 2 days. It was always like, I always felt that the next day, well, of course, if you do 3 days in a row, it's a little bit heavy, but like, if you do a day, and then I always felt like the next day I can do another workout inside, and I still feel the same today. So it's workout that you're not killing yourself and then you're going to be able to move from bed. Yeah. It's always workout that somehow they complement each other. So I never woke up with, oh my God, I'm so sore, I cannot move.
Yes,
which has been super good.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. Like that's something that's our big focus. It's like to make a workout program that is tailored on you and appropriate for you. Appropriate being not too easy, not too difficult. So not too easy that you don't even feel like you're working out, and not too difficult like you can't walk for several days after the workout, right? And that should be progressively like that. So as you get stronger, like now, if you put, say, 120 kilos on the bar and you do deadlift, it's not like easy, like sleeping, but it's not even like extremely difficult, like, I don't know, 150 kilos or 170 kilos. So yeah, in that sense, like I think one of the best thing about you is that you said, okay, you know what, I'm gonna try it, but if I decide to take action on it and try it, I'm gonna do everything that is, that we agree with Francesco. And I think we can both say that, it was a mutual work, because, there is a tendency to say, oh, it's on you, it's on me. But I think like you did the work. Right, you did the step, the move to jump on the phone with me and tell me about your goals and your challenges. So if we can just give some numbers, how many like kg of weight did you want to lose when we first chat? Do you remember that?
I think so I think at first it was like 8 kilos. Mm-hmm. No, I think like at first I said 5, and then you were like, no, we can do 8. And I was like, okay, you sure?
And we were talking about a period of 3 months, right? At the beginning.
Of 3 months.
Yes.
And actually, in those 3 months, we did the 8, like very, very smoothly, if I remember correctly.
So are you?
And then
are you okay in sharing like some numbers about your height and your weight, Andrea?
Yeah, so I'm 180, and it's what was it? It was 93 something. It's no
you were
83. 83 I started. So and then at the end of the deficits of, then there was like 6 months deficits.
Yeah.
I was at 69.
Yeah.
So like that was a pretty good drop in a way.
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, and that was amazing seeing you. Like I think like there are two amazing things in this. Like one, that you got your newborn as you were doing this in the process.
Yep.
Do you want to expand a little bit on how was it? Like, was it like as you expected, or more difficult, or easier?
So I think that's a very good question. So that was luck in terms of timing, because I mean we're in Finland, and so my daughter, she was born in April, and at the same time they closed the gyms for some time.
Yeah.
So I started doing outdoors workout. The good thing about outdoors workout actually is that they're a little bit shorter than gym workouts.
Yes.
So it worked well, because then I could still do the 4 workouts, and you don't have to go and change. It's closer to home. So like the overall time spent on working out would be like, now it will take me maybe like 1 hour and a half, 1 hour and 40 minutes, leave home, do a workout and come back. But with the outdoor workout, I could do the whole thing in like 50 minutes, which when you have like a 3-week-old baby, it makes a very big difference at home. So that's actually very important. But so working out with this kind of program and a baby, it's again like about commitments as such. And so there is 2 things. One is that it takes commitment that, okay, you need to go and work out. But on the other side, I think that it's the kind of thing that keeps you sane in a way, because like, well, let's be honest, the first few months you sleep very, very little, right? Yeah. And then you're tired and everything. So you have that something for yourself that really helps. It's a very, very big commitment. So you need to have, of course, the flexibility to do it.
Yeah.
But then, it becomes part of the family life. And like the way, like I work out 4 times a week, my wife works out, 4 times a week. My wife works out 4 times a week. So it's like,
Amazing.
It becomes very even. And I know I can work out, so you can work out, like, no, it's your own time, and it's very healthy overall.
Yeah.
So like, it's easy.
Yeah, and you say easy now because, but you've been great in sticking to what was working for you at the time. So clearly, like your workout program changed because you started, like there was also the lockdown. So I think that's another beauty of like being in a coaching program. It's that you can have your workout adjusted to your current environment and current, things that you can have access to. But hey, like I know that there are many people who are considering joining the program, but maybe like their wife or themselves are expecting. So they say, oh, let me wait until I'm more free. Would you say that's a good way of looking at it based on your experience?
No, because once you have the baby, you're never going to be free. I think it's actually very good to start. I'm very happy when I started it. Because it gave me the time to make it a habit and to feel comfortable, so that by the time the baby came, it was not a new thing. Like I felt everything was under control. I knew exactly what I had to do. Like, talk with you, that's the plan. This is what I have to do. I don't have to think. Like, the very important thing of this whole program is that I don't need to think. And that's like super valuable. Like I know what I need to do. I know like if I have a question, where to go, what to do, etc. Right? So like it helps to do it beforehand, because then like it's then basically you have it as a routine, so that once everything else is complete chaos, you have working out, which is an autopilot thing. It's like it mentally takes zero energy for you, and it's gonna help you from like a positive mental energy at the end of the day, feeling good. So like it's very important thing to start before, because then it's like really you're in this autopilot. Because then I never had to think, oh my God, what do I need to cook? Oh my God, what do I need to do? Is this exercise going to be different? Like you don't have time to think about it. You just have time. Okay, these are the exercises. I do them, done, home. But you've done something nice, because to be honest, like I kind of outsource the thinking to you. But that's also the value of the program, right?
Yes.
That I don't have to think about it. Like I several times I've thought, like when I was at like especially in the first few months, I thought like, okay, what if I didn't have this program now and I had to go to the gym myself and think what I have to do?
Sure.
No way. There's no way. Like,
no.
And I mean, I'm not like this. I don't want to sound too spoiled from that point of view, but it's like, it's really like, it's different if you go and you don't have to think which exercise to do first and after, and which part of after the lower body you have to do. I don't want to think about it. I just want to go and do, and it's a lot easier. And that's a lot of value.
Yeah, and that's huge, because like I think so. Like most people, they like, we all know, and people in general know the benefit of like having an active lifestyle and like have a certain sort of nutrition, but like most of us struggle with consistency. So you mentioned earlier something that I like you to expand a little bit more, which is the autopilot idea. So we always say like in the team, hey, once something is working, we should like also work a little bit to make it automatic. And we all have a different strategy. So like you did calorie counting, and then it was sequential, right? So now you're doing less of it, and also your training change, your steps change. So, there is not like a one strategy that fit everyone, but it's not that you were like this on the autopilot from day one. So when did you have roughly, don't have to remember the exact date, but when did you have the idea, okay, I'm actually like on the autopilot? And did you feel like on some days struggling with consistency, even with the autopilot?
Yeah, I think like, so it's two questions, right? So for the first question, when does the autopilot start? I think it's like 3-4 months in. Mm-hmm. Like more or less around that. And then like, there is always going to be bad days. There is also going to be the day that you don't feel good about it, or the day that it's evening and what you're going to do is order a pizza, and you're like, okay, you know what, I'm going to order a pizza.
Yeah.
And like at first when that happened, because I mean that happens to everyone, like we had that discussion, you're like, you don't need to feel bad about it, and like this, like it's part of the process anyways, and it's normal, and you order a pizza and you should really enjoy that pizza. So like that happened, and I think it's like very healthy thing that happens. I had a pizza like 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's more like how you leave everything around it, like say the week, right? So then the autopilot of the deficit, then it becomes, and we had this discussion last week, right? So like,
Yes.
okay, clearly like on Friday night I have a big dinner out with friends and so on. I'm gonna enjoy pizza, I'm gonna enjoy beer, it's not gonna be a problem. And like I don't want to like the worst thing would be, okay, I'm gonna have a margarita, because if I have like a pizza with more stuff on top with more calories, that would be like completely depressing. Like I want to have the pizza with like I want everything on that. It's simply that then you plan the other days around it, and it's not like it's very easy planning. Like you do like 300 grams of potatoes and like some chicken thighs, and like you're kind of completed the pizza already. So
Yeah.
like you don't have to go through like that many loops as such. It's more, you just need to think a little bit about it. But what it takes time to figure out all those combinations. That's what has been a little bit the learning curve. And
Totally.
then also like what in those combinations like makes you feel full, right?
Yes.
And full as in like it has enough proteins, but also it's tasty and filling in the right way.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And as you said earlier, like it's not that you have to have like these rigid food rules that if you want to enjoy a pizza, then you need to, I don't know, add extra cardio or add a few extra days of I don't know, fasting or skipping a few meals. It's just like making responsible choices. Clearly now you have a very good food awareness, so you roughly know if you're eating like, I don't know, 2,000 calories extra, right? You would have this feeling on you. And yeah, and also like I really appreciate because I know how powerful it is. Like as soon as you start eating more whole food, more proteins, more vegetables, more fibers, more like slower digesting carbohydrates, then you start feeling really when you're hungry. So you start recognizing better when you're really hungry and when you're really full. So that it's becoming more difficult to overeat. Now it can happen. You eat like maybe 1,000 calories more on a single day. Like you had your Christmas party last week. How did it go?
So, well, I mean, for sure, I had like over 1,000 calories more, like 100%.
Yeah.
So like it was very good party, very nice. And I mean, of course, like I had steak tartare for a starter and then a steak for like main course. So like it was protein heavy, but of course it's like it's not the same as making a steak at home. It's just the amount of butter the restaurant would put on it is completely different.
Yeah.
So I think actually what you said is very good. Like on kind of processed food, like a big learning, for example, is like all the stuff you cook yourself is just like so much better. And even just buying the processed food, like it's not, you don't feel as full. It's like it's just not the same.
Yeah.
And well, COVID helps a lot from that point of view. As in like I spend more time at home.
Sure.
But really like the amount of like what like the best thing is like trying to do most of your meals yourself. Mm-hmm. If you have that kind of flexibility, and then like it's everything is like so much easier.
Awesome. And so let's just circle back to your progress. Yeah. So you lost what was that, 14 kilos at the beginning? So you went down to 69. And now there was at the end of the first 6 months. Now we reverted, so you're eating way more food. But surprisingly, like, did you learn something in this process of changing and eating more food? Did you expect like perhaps to gain more weight, or like what did you go through in that moment? Because I know that it's challenging.
It is, and it feels weird, to be honest, because you just did all this effort to like lose the weight, and then you're like, okay, am I gonna gain the weight now? How is that gonna work, and so on. So first of all, yes, I eat basically a lot more foods than before. But the weight doesn't go like up as much. Overall, it feels weird because the body changes in a different way, but also like it feels a lot stronger. Like the amount of energy you have is like completely different.
Yeah.
Then like it's been like mentally, as you say, because in the first it was very difficult, and we had that conversation, right? Like need to allow myself to be okay to gain some weight, because it's not bad weight in a way, right? It's just like normal, it's healthy, and it's about building muscles and so on. And if we look at like how my weight is being kind of increasing, it's, I mean, it's, how much was it? It was like 600, 700 gram a month. I don't remember the math now, but I'm like 72 and a half, I would say now.
It was around, that much per month.
So it's, I mean, it's like just like the rate we should increase from like a muscle building point of view. And then of course, like, I mean, we discussed, I have like the Christmas party last week. I went with the Christmas party, like it goes like this. So that's the other thing that you learn during like the bulking phase more, because like when you're in deficit, like the spikes are a lot less. But then like, because there is this kind of eating more, what happens is that maybe you have more, but you might, Christmas season, you might have more lunches or dinners and so on. So you get like these bigger spikes. And then like, I felt like, okay, I need to control it somehow, but how to control it? And then like that controlling it, it's like, I don't need to punish myself because I went out for dinner. But I need to think, okay, this week I have 3 dinners. So that means that probably I'm not going to have a carbonara for lunch if I'm going to a restaurant for dinner.
Yes. And that's about being responsible, right? It's not about like having a rigid food rule, but it's like, okay, if I want to have a really good carbonara, there is nothing bad. But certainly like, I also want to achieve my goals. So I know that that carbonara might make me eat a little bit too much. So I'm going to just adjust my food choices prior that moment in that day. So I can have like a lighter breakfast. Is nothing bad in that too. Or like a high protein lunch, nothing bad in that too.
And actually, if I may, like one thing that I've learned about the breakfast, especially, like a light breakfast for me doesn't work. Like during deficit, I actually increased the size of my breakfast.
That's crazy. That's good.
It's more than what it used to be.
Yeah.
And like I'm much happier to sacrifice lunch and have like more like protein with lunch. Yeah. But breakfast is like super important. So like very happy to do like those 400 calories for breakfast.
And that's good. That's really good, because like we all have like a favorite meal. Like I also love breakfast too. So I understand what you mean. And because some people like have also like, I'm going to start the day with like a very light breakfast, but that might not necessarily be the best idea, because what matters the most is not the calories you eat at breakfast, is more like your calorie balance over the period of time. And I'm so grateful like to be your coach, to be fair, because you've been so good in this. Like you went through each single phase this year, like with a beginner mindset, right? So regardless of what you learn, you could have been, okay, I nailed this. I don't need a coach anymore. But as we just discussed, like there are different phases of our life, different goals that we want to achieve. So you were very good in like being coachable in the transition. And that's like, imagine this kind of win. That's huge. Like you have so many people who live their life, their goal is not gaining weight. Okay. Yes. It's like your goal in finance would be not to be poor. Okay. It's like breathing into the problem, right? So let's change that. Let's change the not goal into a yes goal. And let's change it into, I want to make, 50K. Same in fitness. It's like, I want to gain 5 kilos of muscle. Okay. I don't have a time frame. I just want to gain 5 kilos of muscle. And I know that the tools and the actions that I need to practice to get there, they're actually very healthy and they add quality to your life. You mentioned earlier, like life expectancy with the resistance training, that's directly correlated. And also like there are so many benefits related to resistance training. Now you mentioned a couple of lift, like the deadlift, but it doesn't have to be the deadlift. Resistance training is everything that increases the gravity. So it can be bands, body weight, kettlebell, dumbbells. So really like I want people to think like creative in this. You can pick up any goals. But now when you focus on adding strength and adding health, now it's much more fun, much easier to be consistent with, and much healthier, we can argue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, Andrea. I don't want to take too much of your time, so I have like just like two super quick questions, if that's all right.
Yep.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
So one, it's which challenges like did you have to overcome? Like perhaps the challenges that you didn't expect, because I know that it wasn't like straight away easy for you. Like you had your daughter, so in April, which was like, hey, at the in between your calorie deficit, that was difficult to staying focused and not let that be something that put you off track. But what else came that you had to overcome? Which other challenges?
Well, so I would say, the lack of sleep was definitely one. It has a massive effect. It also has a massive effect actually on how the weight changes.
Yeah.
And you can track like the difficult nights and how the weight has been following, like moving with those and so on. So lack of sleep definitely has an effect on that, on your energy levels, and to be honest, also on the hunger level, as in like you have less mental energy to think things through. So that's why I think it's important to be in autopilot, because you don't want to think. That's the most important thing. So that definitely was one. Another big one I think has been like how to organize the workouts. So I hate it when I have two last workouts on Saturday and Sunday. I feel very uncomfortable, and it happens sometimes. Yeah. So I always want to leave only one workout for the weekend.
Yeah.
And what I want to do is always do a workout on the Monday, which I wanted to do yesterday, but unfortunately it didn't happen, right? So but what I really try to do is like do 3 during the week. It's not easy, but that's been like a very big kind of from an organizational point of view. When do you do it? How do you schedule it, and so on? Because to be honest, like it makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
And it feels so much better to do the last workout on a Saturday, and then you have the Sunday off, because then you know that you have the energy to go to the Monday.
Yes.
So like that's that kind of look, right? So like, and that's something I'm striving. I'm not nailing that yet, but I'm really striving to kind of nail that part, which is finding the right times and like working out on fully Monday, then during the week, then only one in the weekend. Because otherwise, easily, if you do it on Saturday and then on Sunday you have other stuff and you're tired and so on. Well, you do it on Saturday, then it's done. You know that you have one your week, and then you can rest. And that's the nice thing about it.
I hope that the people listening are taking notes, because even this, look, you mentioned like a challenge that you're currently having, but you're approaching it with the right mindset, the growth mindset. So you're approaching it with the idea, hey, okay, that's something I want to do better, because first I pay attention to what's going on in my life, right? So I noticed that I don't want to do 2 workouts on the weekend because, hey, I might want to spend more time with my family. And also I feel like that's easier to do when I have a workout on Monday. But also you notice that the workout on Monday doesn't happen by mistake. You need to have some sort of planning. So I can share that for me works really well. And most of the things that I don't get done on Monday, it's because of poor planning on Sunday. So I wake up on Sunday and the first thing I do, it's the schedule for a week. Maybe it's like just like few key items, few key actions on few key moments of the week, but that's it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just have to be there. So sleep also is a big one. We'll definitely, we've been working on it and we'll definitely get better at that. Yeah. Andrea, thank you so much. I have one last question for you. And I know that there are many people thinking about getting into a online coaching program in 2022. So would you recommend this kind of coaching in particular to a friend? And if so, why? Or why not?
So I have to say this was one of the best investments I've done for my own health. So yeah, absolutely. I would recommend it, and I've been recommended it for someone that is ready to do the work. I think that's the main thing. So 100% yes, as long as you're ready to do the work, because it's very easy if you're ready. If you're not ready, like then it becomes difficult, right?
Yes.
So I think like looking at people are eating for Christmas and then looking at 2021, my suggestion would be to eat as much as you can now, and then just be mentally ready to do it. And it's actually not that difficult nor that heavy. It's like it's more like about having the attitude of saying, okay, I'm just gonna follow the rules. Like it doesn't I think that's been the main takeaway, because like I think like people think, okay, have to do so many difficult things. Truth is that you really don't. You just have to follow very like simple rules.
Yeah,
That's
that's
it.
key. Yeah.
So and then it flows, and it's easy. It's very easy to speak with you, and like if you have a problem, you just bring it up. So like let's just stick to the basics, and take it like a week at a time.
Yeah.
That's the other big thing. Because at first when we had that discussion, I was like, okay, maybe losing 5 kilos. We're like, no, we can do 8. And like, how is that even gonna happen? To be honest, it doesn't matter how it's gonna happen, because like there's nothing you can do about it. It's more like, this is the week that you have. So what are you having for breakfast, and when are you working out today? That's the only 2 things that actually matter. How much you lose in 6 months, it doesn't really matter. It's like that's I think like the main takeaway is that the weight change is a consequence of everything else. It's not the result, it's not the driver, it's simply a byproduct of a bigger process. The thing is that when you start, you don't see the bigger process yet, but the weight is only a byproduct of the process.
Wise word.
Yeah.
Wise words, Andrea. I couldn't have said it better. So yeah, exactly. You can't control your body weight, right? So you can say, even if you want to lose, I don't know, 20 kilos or 2 kilos, that's not relevant, because I saw that the other day on a Facebook group that someone said, hey guys, I want to lose 20 kilos. Would it be good to have a 3 kilos or 5 kilos weight loss goal for the first 3 months of 2022? And I said, hey, that's nothing bad in tracking your body weight, but make sure that that's not your solely goal, because like the reality is you can't control it directly. Like you can drink a glass of water or pack your gym to pack your bag to go to the gym. Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Cool.
So yeah, focus on your behaviors, not like on your goal on a day-to-day basis. Actually have a goal, there's a direction, but focus on your behaviors.
Yeah, excellent.
Andrea, did I
Sounds
miss
good.
something? Is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you wish I asked for?
I think not so far. I think this is pretty good. So no anything major at the moment.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and congrats on your journey, and looking forward to what's next.
Thanks. Thank you.
Awesome.
Have a nice day then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.